Good morning. You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a podcast brought to you by Joy's House. We are so happy that you're here. Caregiver Crossing is a podcast created just for you, the caregiver. I'm Tina McIntosh.
I'm Terry Stacy. We're here every week, and we try to bring you the very best guests and the resources, all the experts that you need as you travel this journey of caregiving for caregivers today and also for tomorrow. We're really grateful that you're here. We hope you learn a little something. I know I do each and every week. And Tina, it's up to you to bring us now the next bit of information.
Well, so, sometimes we have experts from around the world on the show. Today, you are stuck with Terry and me, but we have a topic that I find really, really interesting. And so, on June 26th, this coming Monday, marks the anniversary of the landmark Supreme Court case. And I'm afraid I'm going to get the name wrong, but I believe it's Obergefell versus Hodges. This is the one that made same-sex marriage legal in all 50 states. And so some may know, some may not, that the man who filed the lawsuit, that was Jim, last name I'm struggling with, Obergefell, was a same-sex caregiver who he was denied the right to legally marry his love-in partner before his partner passed away. He passed away from ALS in 2013, which, when I pause and think about that, I can only imagine the great deal of headache with all of the legal stuff that happens when your partner passes away and the heartache of not being able to be legally married. And so we are taking the time here in Caregiver Crossing to take this anniversary as an opportunity to celebrate the progress that's been made while spreading awareness about the unique and ongoing struggles that are faced by individuals who are part of the LGBTQ plus community, which, forgive us, we're going to say LGBT because it is rolling off the tongue a little bit easier today, but the struggles that are faced by folks in this community in regard to caregiving. And so, Terry, we have a list of statistics and talking points, and I'm going to ask you to get us started, but some of these are startling.
Well, now, Tina, if you don't mind, I don't have those statistics in front of me, and I apologize. If you could jump into them, and I'll continue to look for some of these statistics. I was so caught up in the story because for that community, for those communities, there's always people that are making a difference, continuing to break those barriers and to making change. And it doesn't seem like it's been that long ago, but it really has. And so I'm looking at you look for those. You've got those statistics in front of you. Please go ahead.
I do. So LGBT caregivers, believe it or not, make up 9% of the 34.2 million Americans caring for adults over the age of 50. That's an estimated 3 million caregivers from the LGBT community. And we know up against a lot of struggles. I mean, some from the life experience story we just shared, and others that, people in your life that I have people in my life too, who when marriage for same-sex couples became legal, how many people were on the court stairs getting married that very day because one, they had been waiting for so long. Two, it opened up a lot of doors for them on how they are to care for each other for the rest of their lives and when they pass away. And so LGBT people also become caregivers at a slightly higher rate than their non-LGBT peers. So 1 in 5 in the LGBT community, 1 in 5 people is providing care for another adult, compared to 1 in 6 in non-LGBT households. And I paused on it. I thought, I wonder why that is. Like, I won't pretend to understand it. But then the very next thing we find is LGBT older adults are 4 times less likely to have children and twice as likely to be single as non-LGBT peers. So I think that has a lot to do with it. If you don't have, I also have a lot of people in my life who have chosen not to have children or who have not been able to have children and have chosen not to adopt. And so as I'm getting older and they're getting older, we're having a lot of conversations about who is going to care for you, when the time comes.
Yeah.
It becomes a real concern for folks. And so I think that makes sense to me. Any thoughts come to your mind on that?
Just exactly what you've said. This is such a topic that I'm not sure. I work in the industry of radio, and I'm not even sure that this is a conversation that has been ever talked about on the radio. You know what as I'm thinking? I'm
Yeah.
not sure that this was anything that we've ever really even talked about openly. I don't know why, but it just isn't anything. So it's still also new to me in hearing these numbers and these statistics. And I have friends too that have talked about this, but behind closed doors. It's very personal but nothing that they felt like opening up about. But I know they loved each other. I know they've cared for each other. I just had a great friend that lost his spouse. And he's of age. He's 70 years old and just lost his 72-year-old spouse, and still does not feel comfortable enough to even be talking about this or the help that he may have needed at the time, just because he was in that demographic, where they just did not talk about this sort of thing. And I'm glad they're more open now to talking so that they can find those resources. They can get that help that they need, right?
Yes, but that's and I guess that is one of the problems that we see in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans community, is that a lot of times, whether it's age or it's the fact that they're part of this community, this LGBT community, that they are less likely to seek out social services. They're not going to get the medical services. They're not going to get the social services. And it might be because they've had a past experience that is, stigmatized, or they've been ill-treated because of how they identify when it comes to this category. Or because they're scared because other people have. And so we know that as a fact that they are not seeking out the services, which, if we translate that into things we talk about all the time on Caregiver Crossing, we know that puts them at risk then for having health conditions. And there is a good chance the caregiver, they will end up having a mental or physical slide or dying before their loved one. And so it is, I love hearing you dig deep, Terry, and saying, gosh, I just don't remember this being a topic we've talked about, on radio in your experience before, because we have to talk about it.
Have to talk about it. And that demographic that you're looking at, that 70-year-old, that 65-year-old, they grew up at a different time when this was not something that they could talk about. And even with all the progress, I believe that's what they grew up with, and that they knew that it was not anything that they could share with others. And they're just not made that way right now to go ahead and seek those services that help. This younger generation, trailblazers for sure, and making differences. And we are becoming a society where we're more open to hearing about others, right? And knowing it's okay. It's really okay. But we're here to help you. But for that older generation, I'm afraid those that need caregivers right now, they're just not comfortable with going and seeking the resources that they need.
Well, and even, looking at those of us who are 40, 50, 60, I mean, we still have a lot of the shadow of that older generation and a lot of their voices in our heads. And I mean, I'll tell you this too, there's the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act, which requires most companies to offer their employees at least 12 weeks of unpaid leave to care for their ailing, family members, does not provide job protection to LGBT or unmarried heterosexuals, for that fact, domestic partners, if you will. They don't provide that same job protection for domestic partners. And so many private employers, including more than half of the Fortune 500 companies, now are offering what they will call a domestic partner, the same medical leave and bereavement policies as married employees. But, that right there is tough, right? That's a policy and a procedure that's been put into place that hopefully we will continue to see that become more of domestic partners, and not just for those unmarried heterosexual couples to have the benefit of caring for the people they love the most.
Yeah. I'm looking back at some of those numbers that you were talking about earlier, and I'm in my brain, I'm thinking about those that might be older, that are caregivers, but the typical LGBTQ caregiver is young, is very young, 42.4 years old. And so I misunderstand. So I'm learning something too. I'm thinking that face of that older, I don't know why, but I'm thinking of my older friends that that are gay and that are just old, but you know what? It's because I'm older and my friends are all older.
Well, I get it.
So
I mean,
when I look at that number, yeah.
but I think you're right.
Caregivers
This
most
younger
often caring for a
generation,
parent. Yeah.
they are trailblazers. But for those of us who are of caregiving age, whether it's you're caring for your partner or your spouse or a parent or a grandparent, which is often the case in these LGBT caregiving households as well, I think my advice would be, don't be afraid. And just because if you've had one negative experience doesn't mean that every experience will be negative going forward. And have the confidence and have the freedom to be who you are and to live your life and to love the people you love the most until the end, while getting the support from people around you too. So, we're here for you. And if there are other topics, particularly as we're looking at this monumental date that's coming up, with the anniversary of that important court case, if there are other things that we can be talking about all the time here in Caregiver Crossing, email me at tina@org and let's talk about it. Or if you're looking for an answer, we will help you try to find that answer as well. So we are here for all people all the time, and want you to feel the freedom to reach out to us and know that you are loved and that you are safe in this place. So I think we have to thank our sponsors now, Terry.
We do. Kat Sapper and Miller, thank you. KSM, a leading advisory tax and audit firm, providing the inspiration and the insight and the technical expertise you need to help you achieve your next great thing. Also, Flanner Buchanan Cremation and Burial, the Indianapolis Funeral Homes of Flanner Buchanan, been helping families plan the final farewell for nearly 150 years, providing comfort, care, and convenience during difficult times. And to AARP, they're leading a revolution in the way people view and live life after 50. We love that they're working to empower people to choose how they live as they age. And we also should thank Joy Walston, who produces this show and who is awesome. And, she's right here by our sides and providing us with great guests. And so thank you to Joy Walston and Tina McIntosh. Thank you. Until next time, take good care of each other, and we'll talk to you next time on Caregiver Crossing.